Hello, and welcome to Venruki's Mistweaver Guide. This is the third installment in class guides. And to start this guide off, I just want to start off by saying, if you guys have any questions or concerns or comments, please save them to the end of the video. Enjoy your flight, and I will get your questions as soon as possible. I really do appreciate you answering them, and I think it adds a lot to these videos, so thank you. When creating a Mistweaver monk, some classes must be considered. You actually have a lot of choices. Currently, as you see, my Mistweaver is a human, and that is only because I also play Windwalker Monk. So I don't think human is optimal, even though I play it. I'll start off with that. Gnome, Night Elf, Dwarf, I think are all three better options. Dwarf is good. You can get out of silences. For example, a Frostjaw or a Silence. So that is definitely very powerful, the Dwarf. Gnome. Could be even a little bit stronger, especially if you're fighting a mage team, because you can consistently get out of that Frostjaw. It doesn't put your trinket on cooldown, so being able to frost or use Escape Artist on some roots and snares when you're kiting is good, as well as when you're fighting mage teams. If you're having difficulties with that, I think Gnome is a great option. And then of course Night Elf for shadow melding incoming CC. So if you see a warlock casting Fear on you, or mage casting a poly on you, or you want to just drop someone's focus before you get a cast off, Night Elf is also a great option. So with these three, you really can't go wrong. Human's okay. You do get the bonus trinket, which is fine and dandy, but I don't think it's ideal. If you're a horde player, which I don't know why you would be, you could be a troll. All these options suck. I guess Blood Elf. I think I would be a Blood Elf just so I have an extra interrupt of Belf and kick, you know? I could go in and run in and Belf stuff. Undead could also be good for getting out of fears. If you're fighting teams that fear you, I guess you get an extra trinket break, so I'd say Blood Elf or Undead are probably the best options. If you feel like you're dying, which you probably shouldn't be, you could play an Orc Mistweaver, but I don't think it's ideal. My number 1 and 2 would definitely be Blood Elf as well as Undead. If you could be a Goblin Monk, I'd probably choose that, but there's no real point in talking about that. And of course, if you're a Panda, you might as well just delete your character and re-roll, or pay Blizzard money and switch. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, and you've got your shiny Mistweaver Monk, you're going to log in the game. You're going to be very confused at first, because there's a lot of different abilities and stuff like that. At this point in the guide, if this is your first time logging into Mistweaver Monk, I want you to go through, pause the video right now, and read all of your abilities. Okay, you're just going to pause the video. You're going to go in your spellbook. I know this is going to be difficult, but you're going to read every single one of your abilities, okay? You're going to read page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. You're going to read all the passives, okay? That's what you're going to do. We'll wait for you. Alright, I hope that was enough time. Now that you've done that, we're going to go over some gearing. So for gear, I believe in PvP, although multi-strike is a wonderful stat in PvE, unfortunately the value gets destroyed in PvP, gets halved in terms of the frequency as well as how much you multi-strike for. So the stat is basically garbage, even though it's really good for Mistweavers in PvE. I don't think it's great in PvP. So because of that, versatility is a great option to increase your healing, as well as haste. So I'd say versatility and haste are your two biggest stats as a Mistweaver. This is the gearing I choose, just the regular helmet. I use the haste spirit neck, just the regular shoulders, the multi-strike spirit cloak, and then I use the haste versatility chest, since I think those are the best stats. Bracers, crit versatility, haste multi-strike weapon, crit haste gloves, haste versatility belt, haste mastery pants, haste multi-strike boots, haste multi-strike ring, haste spirit ring, and then obviously these two trinkets. I don't use an accolade, but I guess an accolade could be decent, like a spirit haste accolade or something like that. I just don't have that because I don't want to do Ashran, but those could definitely be a viable item, especially if you're running out of mana. In terms of enchants, go versatility on everything. Gives you a little bit more survivability, plus it buffs your healing quite a bit. So that's gearing. Gonna go over talent choices really fast, okay guys? And remember, save your questions to the end of the videos. If you guys want to correct me on anything, you can try at the end of the video if you have questions about something I didn't answer. For the 15 talents, there's 3 options: Celerity, Tiger's List, and Momentum. Momentum is not good, so we're going to get rid of that. For the most part, you play Celerity. Chi Torpedo, as we'll go over later, is usually what you play with, so having Chi Torpedoes to both get out of line of sight and dip in and out of combat quickly to get your CC is very, very important, and celerity allows you to do that a little bit better. Tiger's Lust can also be good. If you're playing like a melee cleave, if you're playing like a turbo and you're having problems with roots against like a mage team or something like that, Tiger's Lust can be an option you can experiment with. I usually don't play it, but it definitely can be good. So these are the two choices, primarily celerity though. For the 30 talents, you have Chi Burst, Zen Sphere, and Chi Wave. Zen Sphere is what you want to use most of the time, as it does give you a little bit more dispel protection, which we'll go over later. So it just adds another buff that can go up, and the healing from it is pretty decent. As you can see, it heals for 739, which is a very large amount. It heals for like 1/10 of a rejuve. Chi Wave I sometimes use, only really against arcane mages though. The only time I play Chi Wave is against arcane mages, just so they don't have stuff to spell steal. But it's so rare you'll use it, you don't really have to worry about it. In terms of the 45 talents, you have Chi Brew, Ascension, and Power Strikes. Power Strikes, well, I'll start off by saying Chi Brew is really, really strong. I'd say most of the time that's the option you guys are going to use. And I'll explain why a little bit more, but yeah, Chi Brew is great for just getting quick chi so you can get out your enveloping mist quicker. Power Strikes can also be good if you get used to it. If you feel like... Actually, I don't really ever use Power Strikes, but I think it can be good. When would you want to use Power Strikes? Maybe in RBGs sometimes? I know that, I mean, Chi Brew is pretty good because it's on-demand chi, but Power Strikes is more consistent additional chi. So if you get to like, if you have a lot of throughput and you feel like you get to like channel a lot and stuff like that, I guess Power Strikes can be pretty good. Ascension, not good. Ring of Peace, Charging Oxwave, Leg Sweep. I'd say 9 times out of 10 you'll play Leg Sweep. Charging Oxwave can also be decent. You can get out like stuns and stuff like that at range. The only reason I don't think it's as good as Leg Sweep is because the stun is only 3 seconds in comparison to 5, but it can still be decent. If you feel like you don't want to push in too deep, like on top of like a druid or something like that, you can still get like an in cap into Charging Oxwave and then retreat back to your pillar. You can try to do the same thing with Leg Sweep, but it's a little bit more difficult, and sometimes you have to extend a little bit more. So these two talents you can play around with, but primarily I'd say you want to use Leg Sweep. Alright, so 75 talents. There's Healing Elixirs, Dampen Harm, and Diffuse Magic. I always use Healing Elixirs. There's some Mistweavers that like playing Diffuse Magic against like Warlock teams. Can reflect like Demon Soul dots in the opener. I guess if like a rogue mage is rushing you down too, it can be pretty decent, but I don't underestimate the power of Healing Elixirs and how much healing you actually get and how much health you actually get from that. Diffuse Magic can be scary if you don't actually get it off. You need a break for it to be effective, whereas Healing Elixirs can like keep you alive through like a stun into a garrote. Diffuse Magic you can only use if you have a break, and you lose out on that consistent healing of Healing Elixirs. But if you are exploding or having problems, you can try out Diffuse Magic. Dampen Harm usually don't use. For the 90 talents, there's Rushing Jade Wind, which is poop. Invoke Zwen, I've never used it. And Chi Torpedo. Chi Torpedo is just great for moving in and out of combat, like I said, to push in for your CC or to push out. I guess sometimes if you're playing like an ultra rushdown comp, the healing from Zwen and damage from Zwen is actually decent, so you could experiment with that if you want, but I normally don't like it because it just like breaks CC and is really annoying. And then you don't have Chi Torpedo, which kind of sucks. But these two options I've seen Mistweavers play with, so it might have some uses. And then for the 100 talents, Breath of the Serpent is bad, don't ever spec it. Chi Explosion, I usually don't play it. I think some Mistweavers play it in RBGs. It does have pretty good AoE healing, especially if you get out all the 4 healing spheres. The only reason I don't really love Chi Explosion, so the only times I'd maybe use it is in RBGs and against an Arcane Mage once again, because then you have a Chi dump besides your Enveloping Mist. If you're fighting like an Arcane Mage and you put up an Enveloping Mist and you just spell steal it, he gets so much healing, and then obviously you get no healing, so using that Chi on something like Chi Explosion could be beneficial, but every time I do that it's still like kind of sketchy. Pool of Mist, obviously a great talent. I think even in RBGs you use Pool of Mist just to spread out your Renewing Mist more, because you use Uplift a lot, so I don't know. Pool of Mist is great for just building Chi, so you don't have to cast to generate Chi, and then you can get up your Enveloping Mist really fast. Which I'll get into like the healing rotations in a little bit. That's talents. And for Glyph, oh yes, people are saying Chi Explosion sucks in RBGs. Yeah, I can see that. So in RBGs, like you spread your Renewing Mist a lot, so you have Renewing Mist on like multiple targets, and then you actually use your Chi if the raid's taking a lot of damage for using Uplift, which is something you never use in Arena, but actually is really, really good in RBGs. Anyways, For glyphs, Life Cocoon 100% a must. Makes it so you can use it while stunned. I guess if you're never getting stunned, you could drop this glyph, but I don't know. I pretty much 100% of the time use this glyph. Glyph of Zen Focus gives you Aura Mastery on your Thunder Focus T. So when you Thunder Focus, you have this 5-second immunity to silence and interrupt effect, which is really, 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 really strong, because that's when you're going to get your throughput out normally, the big healing surges, and yeah, you'll be able to spam. So these two glyphs are mandatory. Glyph of Paralysis is also very, very strong. So when you want to push in and actually get off those paralyses on the healer, if they have a dot, you don't have to worry about that. Or if like a rogue's on you or anyone's on you, Feral, a Death Knight, you can use that paralysis for like a nice peel and CC. So these are like the 3 staple glyphs. Sometimes, ow, I just banged my elbow. If you're not like a dot team, like you're playing like 2s, for example. When I play 2s with Mez and I'm playing Mistweaver Death Knight, he's on their healer and there's a DPS trying to kill me. A lot of the time I'll just drop Glyph of Paralysis because they're not going to be getting disease, and I'll get Freedom Roll instead. Freedom Roll makes it so every time you use your Cheat Torpedo, it dispels snares on you. So if like there's an annoying ass rogue on you, you're crippling poisoned, you can Cheat Torpedo and it'll just remove it. Of course you can dispel it as well, but like if a warrior's on you, you can't if he hamstrings you, but you can annoy him really hard by Cheat Torpedoing him away and then just being unsnared. Makes it a lot more difficult for him to actually get back to you. So that's good. Glyph of Renewing Mist, I like in RBGs. I don't really heal RBGs that much, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this glyph is really good just because you do use Renewing Mist as a big part of your rotation as well as Uplift. So having the extra range on Renewing Mist might be better than the Paralysis glyph, but then again, you can't use Paralysis for like getting in caps on healers full, but it might not even matter. You could just use it as like an interrupt instead. So like if there's a Paladin casting a Holy Light and he has full dots, you could use Paralysis just to stop the heal. Not interrupt him, but just stop the heal, and then it'll just break to the dots, but you've kind of done this job. Yeah, you can experiment with that. I like this glyph. Someone in chat said I'm wrong, but I like it. I think it's really strong. Glyph of Transcendence can actually be really good if you feel like you're porting on cooldown or you're being trained down really, really hard. So if there's like a jungle cleave or something training you, sometimes instead of Freedom Roll, the Glyph of Transcendence can actually be better. So it takes your port from a 25-second cooldown to a 20-second cooldown. So every 20 seconds you can get away and get some cast off on yourself. You don't use Renewing Mist in RBGs. Freedom Roll is more important. Like I said, you guys can feel free to experiment with it. I think it's good. When I heal RBGs, I like it. Definitely try the different glyphs out for yourself. One thing's for sure, Glyph of Life Cocoon and Zen Focus are like staples. In terms of like, I guess we can talk about macros and stuff now too. So the macros I use on my Mistweaver monk, actually we'll do keybinds. So keybinds, obviously recommend it for everyone. Get keybinds. I have target arena 1, 2, 3 bound. So I have, in terms of like targeting macros, I have target arena 1, 2, 3 bound, which you can go keybinds targeting. That way, if I ever want to like do damage or interrupt someone or whatever, I can. As well as focus 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so target arena 1, 2, 3, focus arena 1, 2, 3, and then I have target myself bound, target party 1, and target party 2 bound. And then in terms of my abilities, I have obviously everything bound. I have focus paralysis and focus blackout kick. So for example, if a mage wants to CC me, I'm chilling behind a pillar, you know, and a mage wants to push in and CC me, I can spam my focus in cap, and sometimes I'll in cap him at the same time Deep Freeze goes off, and that way he won't be able to actually get the sheep. He'll get in capped on it unless he has trinket. It's also good for like quickly, if you get defreezed, you can like quickly nimble and like kick the mage on this poly, and then you can get away. So it's like another break for a deep sheep. So that's good. It just has a little bit more efficiency. I use Dispel for my teammate, the macro to Dispel or detox my teammates. And then that's really the only, I don't have like Life Cocoon Party 1, 2, 3. I just target people to do it, but I guess that's something you could have. I don't think it's necessary at all. In terms of macros, like I said, I have the Focus Spearhand Strike, I have the Focus Paralysis, Detox for my teammates. I really don't use that many macros. There's no like special macros that I use for Mistweaver. I use the Thunder Focus T macro, so I use my trinket and then Thunder Focus T. The only reason this trinket's really annoying, or this macro is really annoying, is sometimes, so you can actually use your Thunder Focus T while you're channeling Soothing Mist. So Soothing Mist, if you use your Thunder Focus T with that macro, so using Thunder Focus T doesn't break your Soothing Mist. So you can put up like an Ore Mastery if you want to bait CS. But if you use a trinket, it will break it. So like, if you don't have the trinket bound, if you have the trinket bound separately, I think it can actually be better if you want to like trinket, then use Seething Mist, then use your Ore Mastery. I kind of just macro them together because I'm a scrub. But yeah, if you understand what I mean. So like I'm channeling Seething Mist, and then I use my Thunder Focus. It breaks it because I use the trinket. Normally it wouldn't do that. And then I have to rechannel it. So that might be a play error on my part, but that's how I do it. I would definitely recommend have the trinket bound if you're playing a human, which you probably shouldn't be. We talked about that already. So you don't even have to worry about this part of the video unless you're a human, which you shouldn't be if you're playing Mistweaver. What other macros do I have? I don't really have any macros. It's weird. For Mistweaver. I wonder what other macros would even be good. I just have Dispel for my team. I'm targeting my team. I have the Glyph to macro my trinket with Thunder Focus T. Like, there's really not that many things. But I do recommend having at least, if you don't want to have target Arena 1-2-3 bound, have at least focus Arena 1-2-3 bound with focus kick and focus paralysis, so you can easily like use your interrupts and your CC on healers if you need to. Okay, so that goes macros. We went over, what did we go over? We went over, so far, just to recap, we went over what race to play, all your abilities that you read on yourself, went over talents, macros, keybinds. I guess we kind of go over like the rotation of Monk, and I want to show you guys some like cool stuff you can do. I actually need someone to like queue a skirm with me, or I need to like get to an arena. I need to somehow get to Naground Arena. If there's a mage that wants to join my group and port me to Naground, that would be wonderful. Just send me a message in game. Alright, so talking about like how you actually heal. Big part of healing, obviously, make sure you have your statue up. Your Jade Serpent statue. Since you read your abilities, you know exactly what it does. But, yeah. Increases your healing done by 20%. Wait, what is this? Oh, no, that's the wrong... That's a... Yeah, oops. Alright. So what it does is it shoots out a second beam of Soothing Mist. It's actually really powerful. So, So let's just pretend this little dummy is like someone on my team. Alright, so I'm just chilling back here, I'm healing myself up. You know, I'm beaming him. Let's just pretend my statue's healing that target. You can actually do really cool things with this statue, like be out of line of sight and actually heal while you're lining. So you can like put up your hots, put up Renewing Mist, and put up Zen Sphere and buff, put up like an Enveloping Mist, and then you can hide behind the pillar if you don't want to channel and like heal him through the pillar, heal someone that's very far away. You need to have the statue up at all times, and you want to keep putting the statue where the fight is, because if you don't have that statue healing, it's going to be really hard to heal through spread pressure, as well as like burst. It's really, really important, so definitely pay attention to that. That's like rule number one. The first thing I do when I enter a game is put down my port and drop a statue, always. Basically how Mistweaver monks work, almost all their healing comes from Enveloping Mists. So the whole game, all you're trying to do is build up chi for Enveloping Mist, and then use Enveloping Mist to actually like get burst healing off. What Enveloping Mist does with your 4-piece is it reduces the target's chance to be hit with a critical strike by 20%. So just putting Enveloping Mist up makes it so the target you're healing takes less damage. So that's very, very important, as well as it's the biggest hot I've ever seen. So this is outside of arena. If I pop my trinket, I put an Enveloping Mist on myself, you can see the healing it does. 39,000, 39,000, 19,000, 19,000, 19,000, 39,000, 19,000. Like, it's absurd how much it heals for. It's like, I don't know how much, let's do some quick math. It was around like 200,000 for one ability. I just healed for 200,000 and also made the target take less damage. The only problem with Enveloping Mist is that it can be dispelled. And that's what people want to do the whole game. Because it's such a strong hot, all people want to do is dispel it. So because of that, we have to play a little bit of a mini game where we keep up buffs. Oh yeah, in addition, when you Enveloping Mist, it increased the healing of your Soothing Mist by 30%. So if you put up an Enveloping Mist and you actually get to channel Soothing Mist, it's going to heal for 30% more, which is really strong. All right, cool. Now, like I was talking about, the little mini game. One really crucial and important part of a Mistweaver is keeping trash debuffs off. If you noticed, Renewing Mist heals for dog shit, as well as a Zen Sphere. Both these hots don't do dick. Oh wow, a 500 hot and a 1700 hot. Those are so strong and important to keep up. Yeah, they suck, okay? The reason they're important to keep up though is a ruining mist not only builds chi so you can get the enveloping mist up, it also provides a trash debuff. So when you're healing, a lot of the time what I like to do is I'll cast a renewing mist. Like if someone's low, I'll cast a renewing mist, I'll cast a Zen Sphere, I'll buff them, and then I'll put up the renewing mist, you know? And while that's up, I'll like, if there's no interrupts up, I can channel Soothing Mist. Otherwise I can just like keep spam rebuffing so they can't get the enveloping mist off, okay? So, okay, can this guy stop taking photos? I'll flex for him. Invite this guy to the group. He's not even a mage, first off. Alright, I hope you got a good shot. You're being kicked out. Alright. So, keeping trash debuffs up for your enveloping mist. That's basically the whole game. So, you use your Chi Brew, you use your Expel Harm on cooldown. So, Expel Harm is a decent self-heal, but you want to use it on cooldown because it's your most mana efficient way besides Chi Brew to generate Chi. Okay? So, Expel Harm all the time. Make sure you're using your Renewing Mist to generate Chi. To be like more of an efficient healer, you can channel your Soothing Mist a lot more. Try to keep the target top before you have to use your Enveloping Mist. Like keep up your buffs, and then you can just keep up your Soothing Mist if you can channel. If you can't, of course, you want to just get that Enveloping Mist up. One of the reasons haste is so good for Mistweaver monks, since you read all your talents, is focus and harmony. Haste effects lower the global cooldown of your spells and abilities. So the faster your haste is, the lower your global cooldown is, and the reason that's important is because Mistweaver monks are one of the only healers that actually have to channel. One of the cool things about Mistweaver monks though is while you're channeling Soothing Mist, your Surging Mist as well as your Enveloping Mist are instant. So you're channeling that Soothing Mist and you can just pump out like Flash Heal, Flash Heal, Flash Heal. That's very, very mana inefficient, as well as like you can instantly get up your Enveloping Mist. But a big part of playing a Mistweaver monk is like getting off those fast casts, so like Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, and then stop casting. So you just as fast as you can, getting up that Enveloping Mist and stop casting. Trying to like fake a CS if you can. A lot of the time, people will try to interrupt you instantly, so you can take advantage of the fact like that and do like really quick interrupts if someone's on you, because they know, unless they have no idea about the game, like they know the only way you're gonna heal for dick is by getting that Enveloping Mist off. Okay. So that's the basic healing, like for 3s and 2s. You can use Mana Tea, so every time you get interrupted, you can use the effect of healing elixirs from your Mana Tea. So like I actually use it as part of my rotation for healing. So if you're getting like rotted down by a warlock, just tapping your Mana Tea really fast and popping healing elixirs for that 15% heal is a great way to not only get a little bit of mana back, but also making sure you're using that healing elixirs on cooldown. Very, very important. What else? Yeah, so we went over Expel Harm, went over Renewing Mist for that instant Chi generation, went over keeping up Zen Sphere, Revival, another really big cooldown. I honestly, the healing from Revival is really, really strong, but sometimes I'll use it as like a second dispel. So like if I dispel someone on my team and we have a lot of pressure, let's say I use my detox on a teammate and we have a lot of pressure and he gets like sheeped again and my other person's Nova, I'll just say F it and just use Revival. Man, these guys are being so annoying. I'll just use my Revival as a way to like dispel my teammates. So you can use that. It's also very good for like against a Warlock team. If the Warlock team has like full dots, he has like Haunt up and has full dots on your whole team. You have to be a little bit careful. But like a trick you can do, I guess, is like what I do is I use my Thunder Focus Tea, and I'll use a Fortifying Brew. Say UA's on the whole team, so if I dispel with Revival, I'll just get one shot. What I'll do is I'll use my Fortifying Brew, and sometimes I'll use my Thunder Focus Tea, and then use like a big Revival. It's a use of a lot of cooldowns, but if you can clear full dots, it's a way to like recover quickly if you're really far behind. And you can dispel everyone's dots, and then you just put like an Enveloping Mist up on yourself, and you're chilling. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of like the healing. One of the coolest things. Can you port me to Negron? Another thing I want to talk about with you guys is kiting, because I feel like kiting on a Mistweaver is the most important thing. Like people are like, man, I play Mistweaver and I just like die. And that's one of the reasons I think Mistweaver is so fun, is because it feels like with the amount of mobility you have, almost every game you could have done something better. Like if you die to a melee cleave, a lot of the time, it's not not like when I'm a paladin and I'm just like, I guess I don't want to use that example, but a lot of the times when I'm playing a different healer, I feel like there's nothing I could have done better. I got screwed and I couldn't move, and it's really annoying. But on a Mistweaver, with the amount of mobility you have with Transcendence and Chi Torpedo, you can just, you're so mobile. It's so fun. Yeah, please. All right, so I want to show you guys some like cool kite patterns. I've never really done this with any of my other guides, but I feel like it's very important. So I want to show you some of the cool things you can do, and I recommend honestly queuing a lot of skirms and like just messing around with like different ports. I'll show you some things you can do in Nagrand Arena, which I think are pretty interesting, just to give you guys an idea of like the mobility that a Mistweaver monk has. Daddy Decker, thanks so much for the sub, man. 11 months in a row. Happy anniversary, bro. We'll show them some love in chat, my friends. I'll also show you guys like how you burst as a Mistweaver. If you guys, I was joking around earlier, like doing damage as a Mistweaver, but it's actually no joke. Sometimes you actually can run in and do a lot of damage. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. If you want it, you can get it. We can talk about some of the comps Mistweavers can play as well while we're flying over here. So some of the comps you can play as a Mistweaver in threes. Turbo Cleave, I think, is #1. So Mistweaver, Death Knight, Mistweaver, Warrior, Enhance, I think is the best comp you can run. I've seen other comps like Mage, Mistweaver, Elemental Shaman, Mistweaver, Warrior, Death Knight is also pretty decent. Other than that, I mean, I can't really think of too many more comps besides that. Turbo is definitely the best. In twos, my favorite thing to play with is a Death Knight. Bar none. So, okay, let's say the gates open up, okay? We're in the Grand Arena, the gates open up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to run over here, drop my port, and drop a statue. And these guys are just like full balls to the wall. They want to kill me. Like, they're going to kill me, alright? So, cool thing I could do, I mean, I'll put up my HOTS or whatever. As soon as I get out of CC, I'll roll away. Alright, I'll try to get away. If they chase me over to this side of the map, I will then port. You can do two things now. You can relay your port and have this be like your main spot on the map, which becomes kind of obvious, or you can leave your port there and throw your opponent off. So now that you ported over here, they've reconnected, you're going to roll over here, put a little bit of healing on yourself, you're chilling, and then you're going to run a little bit, you're going to roll back here, and now you're back here, you've baited them over here. Keeping in mind your port is still on this side of the pillar. Now, all of a sudden, oh no, I'm in big trouble. You can port to the side of the pillar and cast like a big heal on yourself. Now that you're on this side of the, like, you need to keep track of your port at all times. Your port's over there, that's a really bad positioning for your port. Let's say you're still in trouble, you can cross the map. You can even do like a mid-map port, run over here. Now you're across the map and your port's in the middle of the map. And you just, you're healing yourself up a bit. Oh no, they're killing me, I'm running away. Need to get back to my port. Oh no, they're still fucking me. You can port to the middle of the map now, and then cross again. So you can do really cool things like that if you're being trained, where you're actually just across the map the whole game. You put your port down here now. Just like putting it in really like obscure spots and making sure you always have a plan in mind for your porting is really fun, I think. I'll mute this mage. So that's like how you can use your map. Another example of this is like in Dalaran. Okay, so say you're playing Dalaran Arena and you're being trained. You can put your port in the middle of the map, literally just the middle. Just put it in the middle, and then let's just pretend this is Dalaran. Okay, you're just like you're getting screwed. Your port's in the middle of the map, or like so your port's in the middle. Now you're at like the boxes. This is still Dalaran, keep in mind, and you're just getting destroyed. So you're gonna like roll off the side. Now you're at the side and you're down here for a second. You have a chance to like heal yourself up. Blah 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 blah. You're just gonna heal yourself, top yourself, and then they reconnect on you. You can just sit down on the bottom of the platform, and then you can port to the middle of the platform, and then roll to the other side of the map. Let's just pretend. Okay, roll to the other side of the map. So that's where you originally were. You port to the middle of the map, get some healing on yourself. They reconnect to you. You roll off the side now, and now you're down on the other side of the map. They have to run all the way around to get to you. That kind of stuff is just really fun. Anyways, let's talk about like CCing too on a Mistweaver. So when you're playing a comp like Turbo Cleave, the reason Mistweaver can be so strong is because you have consistent crowd control that comes out from your paralysis as well as your leg sweep. So not only is it really hard for the druid to push on you and get clones, because he'll be interrupted by the shaman as well as the warrior, even if they get cross CC on that and the druid pushes out, you can kick him if he's close, you can incap him, and if you incap him, you can leg sweep him out of that. If you need CC, like say he doesn't push in on you, you can just do things like this, like you're just healing your team, you know, like your team's topped off, they want to go aggressive, you just dispel them, you can just push in, incap the druid, leg sweep him, and then just port back right away. And then you went in, you got your crowd control, you pulled away. Before you do that, a lot of the time you want to make sure there's like interrupts for the mage, so you can't just get a random polymorph on you. But yeah, that kind of mobility where you can just push in, get out your instant CC with paralysis as well as leg sweep is really important. Don't underestimate the power of a kick on a Mistweaver monk as well. If you see like a mage pushing in on you, say you're just sitting at the pillar and you're having a fun time healing up your team, and you notice that the mage wants to push in and get like a deep freeze on you, you think they're ready to go. Before they go, you can try to get an enveloping mist up. If you can't do that, and you just know he's going to go and he blinks in and deep freezes you and he wants to get a sheep, there's a couple things you can do. I'd say the best thing is spam your focus paralysis macro. So when he pushes in to get the deep sheep on you, you actually paralyze him at the same time, assuming you have good latency. And that way he either has to trinket, which he can do once, or he gets stuck in it and he can't get the polymorph off. So that's another thing you can do. You can also use your nimble brew and then focus kick him. So there's not too much you can do. Like if you get deep frozen, you're fighting like RMD, for example, the best thing you can use your nimble on is to avoid a polymorph by getting out of the deep freeze. So if you're behind the pillar, it's unlikely your team is going to be able to dispel you, so you can use your nimble brew to get out of like a deep freeze and then interrupt the polymorph, and then you can just run around the pillar, and if he chases you, you can just port back, and then by that time your team should be able to be out of CC and help you out by stopping out the polymorph. So using like nimble kick is really important at your focus paralysis, as well as like against a warlock team. So if we're playing turbo and we're fighting against like a WLS, like a warrior lock shaman, if you just let the warlock do whatever he wants, like say your strategy is to just kill the shaman, train him down the best you can, you can actually be exceptionally helpful on your team by either interrupting the lock by like incapping him, and leg sweeping him, and then actually kicking him or just standing on him to harass him. You can often interrupt more damage than you can heal through, so like slow down their pressure that way. So make sure you're actually using those abilities. I mean, it's not always ideal to just be on their team, especially if you're in like a dangerous position, but if you have your port in like a safe spot, if you guys are all on the shaman right here and your port's in a safe spot and you're interrupting the lock with leg sweep and incap and stuff like that, once that CC fades, you can just port behind the pillar and then top off, making sure that you have your statue on like the side of the map to heal up your teammates. So actually using like your interrupts and CC on a Mistweaver is a really, really, really important part of playing it. I honestly think Mistweaver is it has a really steep learning curve. I don't want to say it's like the hardest healer, because once you actually figure it out, I don't like on the top level, I don't think it's like harder than any other healer, but I think it has a really steep learning curve, and if you make like little minor mistakes, you actually get screwed really hard. So it takes a lot of practice. But at the end of every game, just be like, man, if you die, for example, be like, man, could I have like ported better? Did I have good ports that game? Like, was I porting every 20 seconds? Like, were my cheat torpedoes effective? Like, you know what I mean? Another thing about Thunder Focus T, this is just a random thought, is your Thunder Focus T doubles the amount of your Surging Mist. So if like you have your trinket up and you use your Thunder Focus T, you're going to drop a huge, huge heal with Surging Mist. Like just a 61,000 non-crit, which is a big, big deal. This rogue's going to try to gank me or whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of how you use like your mobility as a Mistweaver monk. The reason I like it so much is because you can get like really, really creative. Don't be afraid too as well if you're being like trained down to like see this rogue's on me, I can just incap his ass. This rogue will never kill me. Incap him and then I can stun him and then whoop, I'm gone. Or he trinkets and now all of a sudden he's a target for my warrior or whatever to swap to. And then if he has no trinket, yeah, the next time you incap leg sweep him, it'll be full, or your teammate can come back and capitalize on that. So paying attention to people's trinkets and stuff like that is very important. I didn't really go over add-ons for this video. I'm sorry if I'm talking really fast. Yeah. Anyways, let's go back to my garrison. Remember, this is just Nagrand Arena. Like those kite patterns, yeah, I don't know, just Nagrand Arena. You can experiment with all the different maps. I think doing like a lot of skirms, or like even if you just want to go in with your teammates and like have a warrior chase you down and practice your kiting, it's fun. That's why I love Mistweaver so much. The mobility of the class is just really, really fun and satisfying. All right. Oh, something else I want to talk about in terms of like the healing rotation is Life Cocoon. If you didn't know, it puts up a huge shield, and you can use it in stuns. So if you are fighting against like a rogue mage druid, I kind of talked about. Yo, Zephy, thanks so much for that sub. 2 months in a row, appreciate it very much. I kind of talked about like what happens when the mage is pushing in for incap, or first like his deep sheep. A lot of times, what you can do is make sure you're in line of sight of your teammates, and that way, when he deeps you, if they don't have a stop, you can just life cocoon, because you can life cocoon while stunned. So like, say I'm cheap shot right now, and I know the mage is gonna get a full sheep, and the rogue's like on my shaman, I can just be like, oh, you're life cocooned, and you have a 2500 shield or whatever. That it's going to be really hard for them to break through. And then it doesn't even matter that you get full polymorph because your team's going to be completely fine. Another thing about Life Cocoon that people don't know is that it increases your periodic healing by 50%. So like, you saw how much Enveloping Mist heals for without Life Cocoon. If you Life Cocoon someone and Enveloping Mist them, you're 100% HP no matter what. So yeah, unless it's really deep dampening. When you have Life Cocoon up, you want to make sure your Renewing Mist is up and your Zen Sphere is up, and try to get Enveloping Mist into it if you can, because it'll be way more healing. Alright. I'll show you actually how much it heals for. Okay, watch this. Okay? And I'll Life Cocoon myself. I'm not going to have... I'll use my Ani's Trinket. I won't have my Proc Trinket, but... Watch. I Life Cocoon myself. Look how much this hot heals for, okay? Look at this shit. 51,000, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000. No, like nothing crit, but still, that's a lot of healing. Like, you're gonna top someone off with that almost no matter what. Okay. What else did I want to talk about? Add-ons. So add-ons, same add-ons. I mean, you can go. I have some other guides on my channel if you want to check out like my beginner arena guide. It'll be helpful for anyone that's starting off arena for the first time. Definitely check that out. But some of the add-ons I personally use. I'm not going to go over in detail why I use these add-ons. Definitely check out that other guide on my channel. I can link it somewhere right now. But yeah, you're going to want to use, I think S Arena is really strong. S Arena allows you to, I'll show you. Test mode. Where is it? It's not testing. Anyways, S Arena basically is an arena frame that I have, and you can move it around and scale it up, and you can track trinkets as well as diminishing returns, so you can see when your stun's on cooldown, or when your stun's on diminishing returns, and when your paralysis is on diminishing returns, so you know when you can push in and get CC and they won't be DR'd. As well as see when someone has trinket, so like if you're in a really desperate situation and you're gonna die, and you notice the rogue doesn't have trinket, you can just incap him into a leg sweep. Or if he does have trinket and you incap him, you know he's gonna trinket into that leg sweep. So just little plays like that matter a lot. Omnibar / Omnibar, I'll show you what that is. / Omnibar test. Omnibar, of course, great add-on. We talked a lot about like interrupts, so yeah, we're trying to fake interrupts. It's way easier to know when it's actually up and when it's not, because if you can actually just channel, if you get an Enveloping Mist up and you just get to channel your Soothing Mist into it, and there's no counterspell or kick to stop you, that's really strong. You can also see when like a mage has Deep Freeze up, so you can like prepare to do that incapacitate or get that Life Cocoon up, like I was talking about. And then of course just tracking cooldowns for other classes or interrupts for other classes. You can go through and modify them all. And then do I use anything else? I use Omnibar, I use S Arena, and I use, what else? Add-ons, let's go through. Chi Bar, yeah, I use Chi Bar. That's that thing in the middle of my screen so I can see how much Chi I have. Oh look, I have 2 Chi. Oh, now I have 3. Oh, okay, I can use my Enveloping Mist. So that's what I use that for. Tell me when. I don't really use that for my Mistweaver monk at all, but I guess you could if you wanted to. No, I don't. You don't need it though. I don't think. Yeah, and now we can do like a little QA period. I think that's all I really wanted to go through. If you guys have any questions now, feel free to ask. Let me put this up. Please be what I want it to be. Okay, cool. So let's do stopwatch. We'll do a 5-minute. Actually, we'll do a 3-minute QA period. 3 to 5 minutes. We'll see how good your questions are. Put this right here. All right, let's go. Feel free to ask any questions you guys want. Do you need to be a vegan to play Mistweaver? No, you don't. What I love about Priest is I feel I actively contribute to kills. Is it the same on Monk? Yes, it is. With Incapacitate and Leg Sweep and Interrupts, you can harass healers quite a bit. So if you're playing a Turbo, say you're playing Turbo Cleave, and you're fighting against like a WLS, and the Shaman's having like a really hard time healing, you can push into him, use Incapacitates on him, you can use Leg Sweep on him, you can just stand on him with your Interrupt and never use it, and he'll like try to fake you over and over and over. Interrupt. Yeah, it's just that's part of the reason why I like it. Why do people orb bot? They don't anymore. How do you actively do damage as a Mistweaver? Oh, that's a great question. I'll show you. That's one of the things I wanted to tell you about. You don't... Okay, so starting a little precursor to this, I almost never do this. Okay? But if you really want to like kill someone, if you're like dueling someone and you want to kill them, I like to use Crackling Jade Lightning to build up chi. You use your Crackling Jade Lightning, it channels really fast, and you get full chi. And then put up your Tiger Palm, put up your Blackout Kick. Blackout Kick makes it so you have a 20% chance to increase your crit. Tiger Palm ignores armor. And then you can jab, pop your Trinket, Rising Sun Kick, Chi Torpedo, then you can Chi Brew, Rising Sun Kick, Chi Torpedo, Chi Brew again, Rising Sun Kick, Chi Torpedo. You can see I just got an 85,000 crit. You can do like 200,000 damage with that combo or more. So keeping up your Tiger Palm, your Blackout Kick, and then of course you can use your Crackling Jade Lightning to keep building up that damage or getting that chi, or you can just use jab, which is really fucking slow. But doing that not only costs a lot of mana, but it makes you fall behind really, really hard. So that's how I do damage as a Mistweaver, but I don't recommend doing it really. Unless you're wanting to have like goof around and have fun or duel or whatever. How good / trash is Mistweaver? It depends on the comps. If you're playing Turbo Mistweaver, it's actually good. If you're playing anything else, it's probably bad. What other tier 1 comps does Mistweaver have instead of Turbo? I don't, maybe none. Might just have one good comp. I don't even know if Mistweaver Turbo is a tier 1 comp. It's strong. I don't know if it's tier 1 though. How many times did I surging miss in arena? As many as you need to. The less the better. I mean, it's kind of like an emergency heal. If you need to build up chi to get up an enveloping miss, it costs a lot of mana as well. So it's better if you can just channel Soothing Mist and build up your chi in other ways. But if you have to use it, or you're using like a Thunder Focus Tea, definitely use it. But it's very mana inefficient. Should I spam Surging Mist in a high damage turbo in order to keep my teammates up, or just continue to channel Soothing Mist? I think just using Soothing Mist is good. Sometimes if you need to, or if you have the mana, you can use it. So if you fight a team and you want to try just keeping your team top with Surging Mist and you run then you can change next game, right? It's going to be a little bit of an experiment to see how mana efficient you can be or how fast you're winning or what. Do you ever use Uplift in RBGs, not in arenas? You don't get the value. It's just not good enough in arena. Whereas like in an RBG, you're healing like 10 targets or more with your Renewing Mist and your Uplift. What do you think about Chi Explosion as a healer? A little hot, doesn't heal. The thing, like I said, the Chi Explosion can be decent, but Enveloping Mist is just such a better Chi dump, I think. Not only do you get the crit reduction, but you get the bonus healing from Soothing Mist, plus it's the hot in the game. What are some good 2s partners for Mistweaver? Death Knight, I think, is by far the best. Death Knight is by far the best. As a player, what do you think you need to work on the most in arena? No bashing here. You're asking me what I think I could improve on the most. I think interrupts. I could be a lot better at interrupting people. But something I'm working on. What are your movement keys? Can you talk about mana management and Mana Tea? Well, like I said, you want to be using your Mana Tea basically all game. If you ever get interrupted, it's a good time to use Mana Tea. So if you get counterspelled, just Mana Tea. If you're rotting down to like a Warlock team, using Mana Tea to pop your healing elixirs is really good. It's really strong. Oops. Whoopsies. Let me get this back up. I followed all of your instructions on how to play Mistweaver, but I keep dying PvP. Do I have to be level 100? I thought 85 would be good enough for Ashran. Ha ha he ha ha ha. And I think that's going to do it. What is the best move to juke kicks on Arena for Mistweaver? Soothing Mist. Everyone knows you have to Soothing Mist to get it up in Enveloping Mist, or they should anyway, so just like quickly Soothing Misting. You could try doing like a different cast. Some people juke like this. They use like Surging Mist. You never want to like cast a Surging Mist though. That's really shitty. If you're doing this, casting Surging Mist, you should just quit Mistweaver. The best way to heal through spread pressure as a Mistweaver? Making sure you keep up your Renewing Mist, and then I like, obviously you have to keep up your Enveloping Mist. Channeling Soothing Mist a lot is really important, so make sure you have your statue down, keeping up Renewing Mist, keeping up Zen Sphere, yeah, and just keeping up your Enveloping Mist when you can. If you have to go behind a pillar and channel Surging Mist on yourself to build chi, and then pop out and Enveloping Mist your team. But like I said, you have to rebuff a lot, have to keep up your trash buffs, because if you're fighting against a Warlock team who has a lot of pressure and you're not getting up those Enveloping Mists, or they're getting dispelled instantly, it's almost impossible to heal through. And Mistweaver monks actually suck at healing through spread pressure, so it's difficult no matter what. Alright, I think that's gonna do it. Why S Arena over Gladius? Just preference, same shit. I think that's going to do it for this Mistweaver guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, this video will be on YouTube, so you can ask in. If you think I got anything wrong, or you want to correct me on anything, or you think you have a better idea than I do, feel free to post in the comment section of the video and let me know, and I'll try to respond to you guys.